Hi Founder fans, Jason here, and today's founder is Samuel Latham Mitchill, the person who wrote the first medical journal in the history of the United States. Now, Samuel Latham Mitchill was from Long Island, and he ended up going to Scotland to study medicine, basically during the American Revolutionary War. Now, he comes back, isn't satisfied just being a doctor, and he ends up studying law and becoming a lawyer also. See, Samuel Latham Mitchill is really a student of everything, and throughout his life he corresponds with many of the other American founders, probably most notably Thomas Jefferson, about a wild variety of different subjects. Now, he's a doctor and a lawyer, and he gets a job teaching at Columbia University. What is he teaching? Well, natural history, agriculture, and chemistry. So really, nothing he's studied, but things he knows a whole lot about. It's right about this time that he's also chosen as a New York State Assemblyman and served for several years in that capacity. Now, throughout this time, he is still learning more and more and studying at Columbia College. He also helps found a new college, which is called the College of Physicians and Surgeons. And at the College of Physicians and Surgeons, he is one of the chief instructors. He also, as a Democratic Republican and friend of Thomas Jefferson and the like, is elected to the United States House of Representatives. After 2 years there, he ends up being elected to the New York State Senate, although it's appointed and not elected back then. They appointed their senators, reminder. But he's there for a little while, 6 years, goes back home, continues teaching at the College of Physicians and Surgeons, which ironically is absorbed into Columbia, his old institution that he taught at. So he's back at Columbia. And then during the James Madison presidency, he yet again is elected to the United States House of Representatives after having been a senator. Now, Mitchill, as I said, is really most known for the wide variety of subjects he covered. In fact, he wrote extensively, and on several occasions, he wrote about changing the name of the United States. So he wanted to change the name of the United States to Fredonia. He claimed it was part Greek, part Latin. Really, it seems like it's a made-up place. And truthfully, most of the times he's referencing it, it seems to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but he is publishing it as scholarly articles, so we have to take it at least a little bit seriously. He thought Fredonia had a nice ring to it, and it implicated the freedoms which the Americans had fought for during the Revolution. Now, obviously this never came to pass. We don't live in Fredonia, and nor do we call ourselves Freedons, which is what he wanted. Freedons. But his legacy does live on quite a bit. First of all, when Americans were first moving to Texas and wanted to start a republic there, even though it was still controlled by Spain, they wanted to call it the Fredonia Republic. Additionally, in the 1930s, the Marx Brothers had a film called Duck Soup, where one of the brothers was president of Fredonia, although that was spelled with two E's, not one, like Mitchill liked it. Additionally, on a more personal note, there are towns and cities called Fredonia. In fact, my spouse graduated from a degree from New York SUNY College at Fredonia, which is, as I said, a city in New York, small city, that has a college at it. So it's an interesting reminder how many of the things that the founders did, even the lesser-known founders like Samuel Latham Mitchill, still affect us today. I mean, there would not have been a Fredonia in New York if it weren't for him in New York talking about it, and we wouldn't have sweatshirts around our house with that very word on it. Lastly, when Thomas Jefferson passes away in 1826, Samuel Latham Mitchill writes a biography on him. They were old friends. They've been communicating with each other about agriculture and all sorts of subjects for decades. And Samuel Latham Mitchill writes one of the first, if not the first, biographies on Thomas Jefferson. Specifically, it's about his character and focuses in on his agricultural pursuits and things of that nature, as opposed to his presidency and politics or anything like that. But it is a fascinating little side note about a guy not many people know about. Now, I almost forgot to bring up what he should be most famous for. The first medical journal in the history of the United States. It was called the Medical Repository. And essentially, they wrote about new medical discoveries. It was the first real American take on medicine. And it was purchased by every doctor and every physician all across the United States, and many of which also contributed to it. It became a center of learning for the medical profession, which of course is one of the dozens of professions that Latham Mitchill not only did himself, but was interested in investigating, learning about, and furthering. So that is an overview of Samuel Latham Mitchill, a really interesting character who wanted us all to be Freedons. Now, if you like this video, do me a favor and hit like. That way the algorithm will tell more people about the channel and more people can learn about the American Revolution with us. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe because I put out videos about the American Revolution 7 days a week. I'll be back with another founder for you tomorrow.